Hi friends, it's Missy Shipman. I'm delighted to be with you tonight to share some card making fun. I've been partnering with the library for 14 years to bring card making adventures to the library in Baldwinsville every second Thursday of the month for 14 years. With COVID, we've made some changes, and I'm delighted to be invited by Julia to share with you virtually each month, again on the second Thursday of the month. And the library is generously donating funds so you can have a complimentary kit. You can register through the library website and pick up your supplies. And then gather with me each month for a live card making session where we'll share some tips and tricks and assemble some projects together. So I'm just looking to see if we're live on the site. I have to refresh to see, and it looks like it's coming through just fine. So hopefully I'll be able to read your comments. I encourage you to comment tonight. Those who comment during our live event tonight will be entered in a drawing to get to receive one of the stamp sets that I'll be using the stamps for these images tonight. As you know, in your card kit this month, you received a ink spot, but no stamps, and that was a curiosity for lots of people. So I'm going to share some really fun techniques you can do with ink direct to paper, and I think you'll enjoy that. So gather your supplies. You'll want to have your tote bag, the little gift bag with all the goodies inside. You'll also want to find some adhesives. Other months I've been able to include them, but not in the November kit. So if maybe you have some of the things left over from last month, the glue dots or some Stampin' Dimensionals. You might use some glue dots. These are a Stampin' Up! Product that are great for adhering elements. We've talked before about the green glue, the Tombow Mono Liquid Multi-Purpose Glue. I'll be using that along tonight as well. And then we have our new tape runner adhesive called Seal, which if you have something like that, to be able to assemble your pieces tonight. And then you'll also want a pair of scissors to work with. Other than that, all the supplies you need are in your bag. So let's see here. I'm going to set aside my samples and we can get started. There we are. Okay, so in your box, let's see here. In your bag, excuse me, are the supplies to make 2 greeting cards with coordinating envelopes. And these are fun. They're pre-printed with a wreath. This one has kind of a crumb cake base with some teal or pretty peacock. And then this one is a watercolor wash and can look really like a sunset or a beautiful background for you to build on. And the envelopes, like I said, are pre-printed with coordinating images from the stamp set. These are all supplies from a paper pumpkin kit. You know I'm a big fan of paper pumpkin and all of Stampin' Up's kits. And so these were from a paper pumpkin kit called Gift of Fall. And so we'll be making the 2 cards, and we're going to start with the cards first. Hello friends, I see some people joining in. I'm glad to see you. Thanks for commenting. When you comment tonight, you'll be entered into the drawing to win one of the stamp sets. So I'd love to have you comment throughout the evening. Be sure you let me know you're here. And that if you have any questions, sometimes there's a little delay, but I'll do my best to answer the questions as we go through the evening. All right, now inside your goodie bag here are lots of little pieces and parts. So I'm gonna get those dumped out and we can talk about what's inside. You'll want to save this tag. You can use that for another project or a gift. Recycle this by giving it to a friend at holiday time. All right, so we have some of this really pretty seam binding ribbon in crushed curry, some linen thread. This is one of my favorite embellishments. It's very earthy, natural, inexpensive. The little spool you get goes a long way. It's very easy to tie, to wrap, and it's a lot of fun to work with. You also have some sequins, and these are self-adhesive, which is great. They already have the little sticker glue dot on the back, so we won't need adhesive for the sequins this month. And there's lots of little fussy parts that we'll be adding to our cards. Some of them are printed on one side and white on the other. we'll talk about that when we do some of the direct to paper techniques. These little ones, colorful designs on vellum, printed on vellum, I think are especially lovely. Both the leaves and the little kind of, these are also leaves, but they're multicolored. And let's see this one. These are die cut and ready for you to punch out. And they're just a gentle leaf. Again, crumb cake on the one side and white on the other, so you can mix and match as you're putting them together. All right, let me tell you a little bit about the ink spot. Ink spots are a great way to have a sample of a color, just a small little inch dot. We call them spots. And it can be a little tricky to get it open the first time though. So I want you to be very careful if you're going to use paper snips to kind of split open that adhesive piece. I purposely waited to open it to show you how to do it, but it does take a moment, and be careful with the sharp. So then it's perforated here and you can pull off the top, all right? Most of you in your kit tonight received a Stampin' Spot that's the color Soft Suede. A few of you received one called Chocolate Chip. So mostly I'm going to be using Soft Suede tonight. If you have a chocolate chip spot, you'll find you want to use a little bit lighter touch with our techniques, and I'll be sure to address that as we go along. Okay. All right, so let's begin by, I'm going to kind of put all my little pieces in a pile and know that I can pull out from the pile as I'm building my cards. But I'm going to show you first kind of where we're heading. For this wreath card, this is a very simple construction. I'm just going to add some of those vellum and die cut pieces. Have my banner here, and you can write Happy Thanksgiving, you can write love you can write a person's name, you can do any kind of printing on this if you don't have a stamped greeting. And then this is the seam binding we've just tied into a little bow. So this one will come together really quickly. Let's see, it's kind of like a puzzle or a treasure hunt to find the supplies we need. So I'm looking for one of the striped little leaves. I'm looking for one of my punched out crumb cake ones, one of my vellum leaves, and the little banner that's narrow. Okay, we've got some wider labels here. Let's see if we can find the narrow one. Oh, I think I see it hiding over here. Nope. There. It's possible that your kit, there it is. It's possible that your kit has some things that are a little bit different. I was able to sort out a lot of different supplies for the kits, so hopefully you'll have all the pieces that I pull from to use tonight. So let's go ahead and we'll stamp the little greeting. And like I said, this is a stamp set that was available from the Paper Pumpkin kit. Paper Pumpkin is a monthly subscription kit, and it's exclusive. The stamp sets are exclusive to the kit. You can't purchase the stamp set except with the kit. So it's an exclusive item. I'm going to stamp the Happy Thanksgiving down and up. This is a photopolymer set, so when I'm finished I can peel that off, put it back onto the sheet. Okay, and then I'm ready to put another stamp on my clear block. So here's the Happy Thanksgiving. Let's go ahead and tie our bow next. I'm going to try to keep up with you on the iPad here, but it doesn't always stay active. Okay, so let's take about 10 to 12 inches. I'm just going to go across the edge of my black paper there. Whoop. I have a new stand this month for my camera, and I'm hoping that it will stay steady. And I'm learning lots of technology tips every month as I challenge myself to do more out of the box, out of my comfort zone. Okay, yes, Lee, I see that you have the early espresso. Okay, so that's a little bit even darker than chocolate chip. So you have a brown ink, but for the techniques today, you'll see, Lee, that you may need to just use a light touch so it's not too dark. Early espresso is almost a black color. It's really rich. All right, so now I've got my little bow. And I want to be sure my hands are showing on that. I hope that showed on there for the bows for you. I can't see it on my iPad yet, the pictures. But I can see comments coming through, and that's wonderful. So I'm going to use my glue dots to start the assembly now. Okay, I'll put down the the ribbon first, the seam binding, and yours may be curly like mine depending on how it was folded up in your package. Then we'll go ahead and put the Happy Thanksgiving on with some Stampin' Dimensionals. So you may have some of these from last month, or you could use another adhesive. And we will pop that on there. Okay. Kind of layer it so the bow is still showing. And then I'm going to simply tuck in these other parts. So I'll use a little adhesive. I'm going to actually use the Tombow glue. We call this the green glue sometimes. And what's nice about this glue is that it does give you a little wiggle room if you need to shift it. So sometimes you might have it in one position and want to move it around a little bit. That's some of the other adhesives are a little less forgiving. There we are. And then we'll put the leaf on last here, just a tiny bit. We don't want a lot of adhesive because we don't want it to show through the vellum. Okay, so that's just very, very simple. But it does need a little bit of bling, right, when we add some sparkle. So we'll add some sparkle with our sequins. And like I said, they already have the adhesive on them. But sometimes you have to be sure you slide it off almost so that the adhesive will stay on the gold sequin. Okay, so I think most of you have some that are this size and some that are a little bit bigger, but they're all nice and gold and sparkly. So there's the first card, Happy Thanksgiving. And again, they've got the coordinating envelope, so it's ready for gift giving. This is a card size that you can go through the mail. It's 3.5 by 5, so this is the smallest that you can mail through the U.S. postal system. Cards that are smaller than this are great for passing out to a friend, but not to mail. But this uses just a regular postage stamp. This would also be fun to add a little gift card for a teacher or bus driver or mail person, just to say thank you at this time of gratitude. So there's that first one. And next, let's go ahead and work on the one with a watercolor wash. All right. Let's see. Good. I see some more people coming in. I'm just stretching for a second to see if I can get the iPad view. And this is where we're heading for this one. Now, what's fun about when you come to the library card making event with me is you have this kit of supplies which you can use any way you like. So you can be inspired and follow along with me and create along with me as we play together, or you can just watch and look and learn, and then on your own time add maybe supplies from your stash or other items to put your own touch on the projects. But I've had fun getting these ready for you, and I'm glad you're here tonight. So keep commenting so you can be entered into the drawing. And any questions you have, please put in the comments, okay? So this one has the stamp that says, grateful for family like you. And remember we talked about how since you don't have this stamp set, you can handwrite a message or a little bit of scripture or a favorite quote. And that's one way to embellish the little label. Also remember that the labels are white on one side and crumb cake on the other, so you do have options. I'm going to go ahead and create this one just like my example, except my ink color for this is soft suede instead of the Mary Merlot that I used previously. Okay, so what we'll do is gather, like our treasure hunt, we're going to gather up the items that we need. This is especially fun when you're working with kids, or I've done lots of classes in the past with people with special needs, and it's great fun to spread everything out and then go piece by piece like you're doing a puzzle. What do we need next? So in this card, you can see I've used 2 of those vellum die cuts. I'm going to pull those out from the pile. Okay, I used one of the little blue striped leaves, and I used some of this seam binding. All right, now I want to be generous. I'm going to cut probably 12 to 14 inches of the seam binding. And Remember on this past card we made a bow with a seam binding, and this seam binding is very gentle and forgiving. It will let you manipulate it very easily. And what we're going to do here, even though mine is really curly, it looks so pretty, doesn't it? I'm going to make it so that it's like a, what do you call it? So this is different from it being a nest. It's more like just kind of a zigzag. And I may have cut my ribbon longer than I need. But to start off, I'm going to go ahead and put Stampin' Dimensionals right on the back. Okay, like that. And then this is going to help me adhere my ribbon. I'm going to stick it so it goes over one edge, makes a loop, and then rocks back to this side. So I can trim that a little bit. Let me know if I'm on screen okay when I'm working. There we go. We're going to need a few more dimensionals there, aren't we? Because I covered them all up. Put another one right there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, just like I did before, I'm going to put my label in, and then I'm going to add the other pieces. You can build it up from the bottom differently. If you would like to place these down first, you can. I just kind of like to have my part that I'm going to be poking into. I'm just going to turn those upside down because the seam binding is really forgiving there, and that way they kind of tuck down a little bit better. You can be fussy with that element if you like. On this one I had just one tail show both sides and then a loop over here. It's just meant to give texture. What I like about this ribbon is it has a little bit of shine. It's kind of golden, so I think it really complements the gold sequins very nicely. Okay, so we have that part ready. And again, if you're not, don't worry about staying right at the same step that I'm at if you're stamping and gathering and working with your supplies at the same time. This will be, this video will be saved on the Facebook group, both the library group, the Baldwinsville Public Library-New York, as well as my business Facebook page, which is Missy's Glad Heart Studio. And then it will also be uploaded to YouTube on the library channel. So you'll be able to watch the recording, and that's sometimes fun to pause where you need to catch up or fast forward to get through to the next step. Okay, so I used some of the green glue before. This time I'm going to use some glue dots just to show you a different product. These I love. They're nice and strong, and you don't need a lot. And they work really well if you're putting on things like buttons or other kinds of three-dimensional items that have some weight to them. This little guy we'll go ahead and put on as well. There we are. We tuck that like that. Okay. So I'm going to turn this one around again. That's being fussy. Okay. So there. Now again, you can see the difference that the sequins make, right? Just that little bit of sparkle is going to take this to the next level. So we'll add some pretty sequins here. We kind of want it to draw our eye across the card. There. So we have 2 cards completed, ready to give at Thanksgiving time. Now, before we work on the next 2 projects, which are tags tonight, I want to share with you some tips and tricks for using ink. Since tonight you don't have a stamp, I want you to just know how versatile and useful a Stampin' Spot can be, or a full-size ink, of course, as well. So let's start by showing you one technique I love, which is just called a swipe technique. And all we're going to do, let's see, don't know if there's more comments. I'm going to try to refresh here and see. Glad to have some people viewing. Thanks for joining in. If you have questions, please add them right to the comments. I'm going to just take my spot and I'm going to swipe it across the paper. And this one, you use a brown color. It really looks like wooden farm boards. Do you see that effect? And you can go back through and add sort of more imperfections or kind of knots in there as you wish. Another way to do this, let's try it once with the darker color just to see too. That's with the soft suede. This I'm just using some scrap paper right now. We are going to do this technique on this tag in a little bit. if you want to set that aside. We're going to do the wood grain technique on the white tag. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of show and tell on some other ways to use the ink spots. So this is the chocolate chip color. It's a little bit darker. It's actually just kind of almost a burgundy-ish color, more of the ink color. And then again, you can go, I call this flicking. It makes just that flicking of the edge, makes a great sound. And that's going to add some distressing or vintage look to it. Again, you can make sort of the stripes or knots in the wood to distress the wood. So that's one technique you can use. You can also just make a grid pattern. Now this particular ink pad is not super juicy. It's definitely wet enough for the stamping, but if I wanted a really solid impression, then I would re-ink my ink pad to make it extra juicy. But this is a cool way you can make a checkerboard pattern. That's fun when you have little stamps or little elements that you want to place in between things. Like if we cut apart some of these little leaf elements and wanted to place those in different places on the positions on the grid, that might be one way to do that. Adding sequins, adding other elements, popping up things. If you use different spots, of course, you can come up with all different kinds of checkerboard patterns. All right, and then the other one I want to show you, and each month I'll make efforts to show you different things you can do with just ink and paper when you don't have a lot of other tools, because there's lots of cool techniques for there's called direct to paper, when you put the ink right onto paper instead of on a stamp first and then on the paper. So this one I'm just going to crumple up my Whisper White cardstock. All right, mushing it all up like this. And that's great stress release to just crumple, squeeze, and mush here. It's okay if it tears a little bit, especially at the edges. And then we're going to get it straightened out a little bit. We'll take our ink and just wipe across the top. And what it's doing is catching those high points and all of the wrinkles and making a really cool vintage look, distressed paper. So remember how I told you that the pieces we have, the little labels, are crumb cake and white on the other side? So let's experiment. We're going to take one of the labels and smush it all up, crumple it all up, and stretch it out. And I can do it on the white side. Okay. And I like to say it's not a good day unless there's ink on your fingers. So, and ink, the inks we're using and the inks that are in your kit are a non-toxic washable ink, but it doesn't come off always with your first wash. So I find the best way to get off water-based ink is when I wash my hair. It definitely, it just has more texture and stress on the skin to get the color off. So this is a fun technique, again, when you want to make something look distressed or old-fashioned. All right. So let's go ahead and make the tag that uses the wood grain look here. This one has the white tag that came in your kit, and it has a hole punched at the top already for you. Okay, good. I see some more people watching. I'm glad you're with us. If you have questions, please comment. Just comment also to say that you're here, because those who are present during our live event will be entered in a drawing to win one of the stamp sets that will be gently loved. And here's the Grateful for My Family. So this stamp set also has a really cute Enjoy stamp, which we'll use in a little bit too. All right, so for this one, we're gonna do that swipe technique. And I'm simply gonna just drag my ink down, and then I'll do that again, sort of next to it, so it looks like a barn would. And I didn't line it up as well that time, so I'm gonna go right down the middle. All right, and I wanna go distress the edges some more. And I'm gonna swipe on there to kind of make some, what I think kind of look like knots, where you just could have add some other imperfections to it. And the pad has edges, so you can use that edge as a straight surface. You can also distress using a sponge. This is a sponge, they come in rounds, and I cut them into 6, and then I just staple a piece of cardstock at one end. So even though it's not a good day if you don't have ink on your fingers, sometimes you don't want to have ink everywhere. So that just can help you keep your fingers more clean. So we'll tap here, and then we can add ink this way. Okay, so that's not quite direct to paper because we're putting it first on the sponge, but that you'll get that similar kind of effect. That works also when you want to distress the edges of something. Just flick, 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 flick. Okay, so once you have your wood piece done, we're going to do the treasure hunt again. Dig into the treasure pile to find the elements that are added to my tag. Again, you can make yours any way you like. I'm just giving some examples using the parts from the kit. So here I have 2 of these. I cut one up, didn't I? But that'll work out okay. Let's see, and I may just work with the one that I cut this time. So I've got pieces and parts of that element, the vellum element. Okay, and if you have just one also, you can do the same thing as me and just kind of cut it apart. I'm going to trim that. So I've got one near the top and a couple little parts at the bottom. I have one of my vellum leaves, a couple of these. Now you'll notice in this sample here, I actually sponged this leaf, and this one was actually one of these upside down. So if you have some of those left, you can either put it in as the purple color, or you can flip it over and add that sponging, distressing to it. So I'm going to keep it with the purple. I like the contrast against the wood. Now in your kit you have these 2 beautiful rounds, and this is what I use to make your tag on the bag. It's one of my favorite elements in the kit. But in this case, I'm just cutting apart little pieces that I need from it. I don't need the whole piece. So what we're going to do is cut. Let's see here. The way I did that was I cut some triangles. First I cut it in half. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm glad you love the tags. I did too. I had a lot of fun making them for everyone. So I cut this in half. And then I cut some triangles from it. One not as wide as the other. Looks like Thanksgiving pie, doesn't it? You have to write in the comments what is your favorite pie for this time of year. And then I'll tell you our families. But you can go ahead, tell me right now. You can comment in the discussion thread here. What is your favorite pie? Or maybe your families, or your husbands, or your sons, or your nephews, or your aunts. Maybe there's a special person who makes pie for your gatherings. So we've got a couple pieces here in our pie, and that's what I'm going to use to put with my tag. So just to decorate the bottom of the tag a little bit. See how now it's got that element rounded at the bottom? Lee loves pumpkin pie. Okay, so I've got one at the bottom and one at the top. I'm going to do that again just so you can see how I cut the pieces apart, and it'll stay there as a visual for us. So we cut it in half, and then we're going to cut 2 generous pieces and one kind of less generous piece in the middle for pie. Okay, so this is how I'm going to glue them to the back. First I'll stamp, but then I'm going to glue it to the back of my tag. Apple, yay, Lois loves apple pie. Jennifer, pecan. Do you say pecan or pecan? Apple, sometimes with cranberries, Elizabeth says. That sounds delicious. Nicole says pecan. Margie, pumpkin pie. Great. I love the variety here. I think we should have a buffet with all kinds of choices. At my house, my mother-in-law used to make apple pie, which is just the very, very best. And so now I'm the apple pie baker, and we enjoy making that for birthdays in the fall, and for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And my husband's brother used to love pumpkin pie. So we sometimes, when I don't care for pumpkin pie as much, but if I have a taste, it's fun. It has memories associated with happy people. And then pecan is actually my personal favorite, pecan pie, for sure. All right, so here's my thankful for you. And because it's fun to ink and use ink in clever ways, I'm going to just use it to ink up the edge and add a little definition to the edge of the tags. Now again, you can do this as much or as little as you like. It's going to give kind of a weathered, one-of-a-kind look to your tag. And once we've inked it, now what did you just do? Okay, I stamped. Did you see me stamp? Is that what you were wondering about? I used my stamp, which is, these stamps are not in your kit. So I used the stamp on the block here and I inked it up and then I placed it onto the tag. So since you don't have the stamp set right now, hi Melanie, welcome. You can write a little greeting or scripture or verse there. You can leave it blank and decorate it with some other elements, and I'll show you that for the next card. Or maybe you'll be the lucky winner and you'll earn the stamp set that you can have at your house. Or you can call me up and borrow mine. I like to share things, so I'm happy to do that. If you want to make a whole bunch of these kinds of things and you wanted those particular images, you could borrow from my collection. So what we're going to do now to make this really cool arc is simply glue on these yellow pieces at the bottom. So let's go ahead and put a little glue along the top and the bottom here. Whoop, I might be off camera a little bit. Let me know if I answered your question, Elizabeth, if that was okay. Hi, Julia. 9 kinds of pie, all kinds of good pies here tonight. We have a buffet. We were talking about our favorite Thanksgiving pies because my demonstration here of how to cut your circles reminded me of pie. Great, so if you have other questions, put them on. Help me make sure to answer your questions as we're together tonight. There we are. So now on the back you can see it. I've just got those triangle pieces, but you'd never know it. It almost looks like a whole oval shape behind the element. Okay, so we've gathered what we need. Now we're going to build it up. And the other times, remember, I put this down first, and then I can tuck things inside. So, oh great, Elizabeth, thank you. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back here. And if you have adhesives left from last month's classes, you can pull those out. Otherwise, you'll just need either some multi-purpose glue or some kind of dimensional or glue dots to assemble your projects tonight, because there is not adhesive in your kit tonight, but there is the ink spot, which is lots of fun. I hope you're going to enjoy doing that, playing with the ink. All right, so we'll tuck that inside. And looks like depending on what's in your kit, you can cut up one of these vellum pieces. I didn't have as many pieces, so I cut it up, and that way I could have some at the top of my tag and some down at the bottom. I hope the lighting's okay for people to see tonight. Let's see here. Just checking on the iPad again. Sometimes I need to remember to touch on it so that it knows I'm still watching. All right, here's the pretty sort of purpley one. I'm going to put that there. And the leaf, which is one of my, the pie is every place. I want to keep that as a visual for you. All right, we'll go ahead and put the leaf on here. And I love that it just adds more texture, color, texture, dimension to this project. There we are. So to make the topper like this is a tag you could attach to a present. You could tape to a box or a bag. But because it has the hole at the top, we're going to take advantage of that and fill it and make a little topper. So I'm going to cut about 10 inches of ribbon. And I'm going to just feed that through the hole, front to back. So it's about halfway. And then I'll take some of my linen thread. Let's see if we can find, there it is. I love this. And again, probably about 12 inches. And now I'm just going to tie a bow around the yellow ribbon. All right. Like this. tie a bow like we're tying our shoes. There. So again, it's texture, it's color, it's a very engaging project that people want to touch, but you'll notice the difference that those sequins make. Once again, we're going to use our self-adhesive sequins. They already have the little glue on them. You just, when you push them off, I'll show you another tip. If you can do it with your hands, but you can also do it with a pair of scissors. When you just take it off with the tip and then place it, except sometimes they flip upside down, place it onto your leaf like that. Okay, so I just lift it off of the acetate. I'm going to put them over here. And you've got plenty of these. You can use them wherever you want on your project. I typically do odd numbers, but not always. It's nice if you put them around the card because it draws your eye to different parts of the project. Let's do one more. There we go. All right, so thankful for friends like you. All right, I'm not able to see you on the screen right now, but I'll see if I can, before I start the next project, I'll leave those for you to look at for a minute. The one we're going to do next is this one. So I'm going to just take a minute to see if I can get my screen for me because I like being able to answer any questions. I'm so pleased that you're here tonight. We're excited in our household because it's just one more week until Matthew comes home from college. So for me, I'm thinking Thanksgiving is next week. It's really the week after, but we're going to celebrate early, I think, for sure, having Matthew home with us. And it was fun to ask you about pie and what your favorite pie is for holiday time. You can also add in the comments what's your favorite, traditional Thanksgiving dinner dish. If you have a side dish that you love or that someone in your family has made traditionally, that's fun to share. And so it might be the green bean casserole or whatever somebody brings, a special salad or something. And I'm going to just give myself one more minute to try to get it to work. There we are. Okay. Now I'm still not able to see the video, but I'm able to look at the comments. So great questions. Okay. Yes, Melanie wonders if she'll be able to rewatch the Facebook. It will be posted here as a replay on the Facebook page for Baldwinsville Public Library - New York. It'll also be shared over at my business page, Missy's Glad Heart Studio. And tomorrow, Julia will post it to the YouTube channel. So by tomorrow afternoon, late in the day tomorrow, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube and share it with your friends and everything. So yes, these would be fun. Bookmarks, Lee, that's a great idea. They are so much fun just to add to a plate of cookies as a tag. How else might you use them? You can tell me other ways you might use it as a gift tag on a package, for example. So while we're gathering the things from our pile for this card, or for this tag, type in what your favorite side dish is or traditional food is for Thanksgiving. And Elizabeth said it's the stuffing with cranberry orange infused with sage. Oh my goodness, that's marvelous. I enjoy making homemade cranberry sauce with orange. My family just likes cranberry from the can, and that's fun. That's really our tradition. But over the years, I've made the cranberry from scratch, and boy, it makes the house smell really delicious. All right, so we're looking for pieces from our pile. We've got the tag that's colored with these rainbow leaves. We have one of the Mary Mallow circles, and this is nice that you'll notice it has stitching around the edge. It's a really cool feature there. And looks like I don't have as many of the little leaves as I thought, so I'm gonna, I don't want to use them if you don't have them in your stash. So I'm going to alter this design a little bit because I don't have as many of these color leaves, and that makes me think I didn't put them in your kit either. So, but we do have these leaves. I have 3 of these leaves. I don't know how many of you have left, but we're going to use some of these, so the design will be a little bit different. We do have a tag to play with. We can do it in the white or in the crumb cake. And I do have another one of these little leaves. And so what I wanted to show you something that you can do with the ink, with your ink spot. and it's kind of like a reverse stencil. I'm going to hold down the little leaf, and then I'm going to go over it. I think I have the chocolate instead of the soft suede, but that'll work. So I'm going to go over it, and it's going to have the reverse stencil of the leaf. It'll just be sort of the cloud shape, or the negative shape of the leaf. Not as effective as I wanted. I'm going to try it over again over here. Now we've got a nice dark colored leaf, though. We can use that. Let me see. This worked better when I was practicing. That sometimes happens. Let me use this. This is soft suede. All right. So I'm going to do it as carefully as I can, pushing it down, because I wanted to have the white part show. But it's, oh, I know. I think I did it with the sponge, my friends. That made me be able to get closer in than the ink spot. Do you see that difference? I could blend it better. If I just take the sponge, you can take a little cotton ball or a Q-tip even, experiment with something like that at your home. Okay, so that's just to add some interesting texture to the tag. If you like, you can do that, or just leave it like it is. You can also crumple it up and do that distressing technique. I think that's what I'm going to use for this one, because I'm changing it up from the original. Okay, I am going to take, if I have another one of these, I'll use another one of these little pieces. And what I liked here was taking some of the pie and making little banners, because this is kind of a large surface, and I wanted to just use the little enjoy stamp. Okay, so let me take the little stamp that says enjoy, and we'll put that onto the block. Let's see, we've got some more good comments about food. Candied yams, squash, stuffed acorn squash. Oh, more yummy cranberry sauce. Yes, Elizabeth, I agree. Cranberry from the can is good all year long, indeed. Ritz cracker stuffing. Oh, Melanie, you'll have to tell me more about that. One of our favorite meals at our house is Ritz chicken. Just Ritz cracker crumbs and egg on chicken. So we always have Ritz crackers in our house. Yeah, sweet potato casserole. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. And Julia says her spouse is vegetarian, so they have winter squash stuffed with a tofu mushroom stuffing. Yum, and orange. Yeah, I think the cranberry and orange combo is really great. Okay, so here's our word enjoy, and I'm going to stamp that here on the paper so you can see the word enjoy. And then I think just for fun, I'm going to add some enjoys to here. It's going to be covered up a lot by leaves, but just to make some texture behind the other elements, I'm going to stamp enjoy. And sometimes I'll stamp full strength and then stamp again so it'll be lighter without re-inking. Do you see how it's got different depths of color here? So I'll go full strength and then re-stamp without re-inking. Try that a couple times. Okay, and like I said, this is going to be mostly covered up, but it's just a way to add some cool texture to the piece of paper. All right, so it's coming together now, but I really love the yellow, because I want to have ribbon at the top, and I want to pull that ribbon or that color out of this pretty paper. And since we have those pie pieces, we can go ahead and make some little banners. So I'm going to cut off a straight piece. Oh, Julia found another leaf tucked in her bag. Very good. And lots, yes, Jennifer, stuffing for sure. Me too. There we are. So I'm just making the, like a banner edge. I'll do that again so you can see. I'm going to cut a strip and then I call this like a swallowtail. I'm just going to make a banner tip here with my snips. And then because of this, the feel of this, I kind of want it to be vintagey or distressed. So I'm going to wrinkle these up a little bit so they look like banners, like fabric banners. All right. And I can also distress them a little bit with ink. So we can take either the ink pad directly and flick, 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 flick this way. Or I can take my sponge and flick, flick, flick It's a little bit gentler when you do it this way. There's a little more disbursement of the ink with the sponge rather than bolder strokes. There we are. So we've got enjoy, 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 enjoy. This one that I made earlier, I stamped one of the stamped images. I'll show you what that looks like. I'll do that on this tag so you can see. So this is one of the images that's in the set. It's that it matches the vellum, the die cut vellum pieces. It's just a little larger than that. And instead of stamping full strength, I'm going to do the trick like I did with the enjoy. I'm going to stamp it once somewhere else, like on scrap paper, and then onto my project, and that will make it a little bit lighter. So here's full strength, and then I'm going to stamp it onto this, and it will be a little bit lighter. There. So then when I put a word stamp on top of it, like enjoy, it's the same color ink, but the enjoy will be darker because I used it full strength. So that's how I did it on my original one. I love to do collage work and building up layers, and so that's what really has been fun about this kit to build. Now what else do you notice in this one that we haven't pulled out yet from the treasure box? I don't know if you can see, there's a little delay from the video, so I won't wait too long, but there's an element on here that you might be able to see. Oh, Elizabeth likes the stamps like mine. Very good. Well, if you're the winner, you'll have a set tonight, or otherwise you can borrow mine, Elizabeth, and I may have more than one set, so we can get together and have you share some stamps. Also, when you go to my business website at Missy's Glad Heart Studio, you can have access to our other Stampin' Up! Products and other bundles and gift ideas that I have. So I'd love to have more supplies in your hands along with our monthly kits. So I'm not sure if there's a delay, but let me go ahead and tell you, this is what we're going to add, is more of that linen thread. So let's start by building. We'll do the Mary Merlot at the bottom. I'll use my seal this time. This is the adhesive that's all in the dispenser here. It's clear and it's double-sided adhesive. So we've got our enjoy. And then we're going to start building things on top. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of the linen thread. Great. Oh, I love the comments about all the Thanksgiving foods. But this year, actually, remember I said my Matthew's coming home. We it might not be Thanksgiving Day, it may be, but we're going to have for Thanksgiving a lobster fest. We all love lobster, and with 2020 being all upside down, we figure we can do something other than turkey this year for sure. So we'll be doing lobster probably on the real Thanksgiving, but if not, during the week while Matthew is home. All right, and then I'm going to use some dimensionals and put them onto the layered. Yeah, I love lobster. Okay, Price Chopper is our secret weapon with lobster. If any of you are lobster fans, Price Chopper year-round, you can get lobsters from Price Chopper here in Baldwinsville in clay. There we are. So it's just created kind of a nest. Again, that texture I really love, and we're building it up from the bottom up. So we'll tuck in these little banners, and I think it's fun to use all different adhesives tonight. So I'm going to go back and use some glue dots. There we are. There we are. Tuck that in here. I don't want to cover up that thread. I'm going to leave that hanging out a little bit more. We'll put in some of our flowers, or leaves. This is one that I was experimenting, remember, and we were doing the sponging on top to make it like a stencil. You can also, of course, do it. Let's show one more thing while I'm thinking of it. Here we are. Another way, when you have die cuts like this, you can sponge and use it like a stencil more traditionally. So instead of doing the negative, it's doing creating the positive space of the leaf like that. So ink is a lot of fun to play with, and when you're working on a project like this, it's very forgiving because you're mixing and matching supplies, you are using things that are distressed, so it's not trying to be a super clean project, and that gives you a lot of room to play and experiment. So I hope that's fun for you. There we are. Oh, I lost the iPad again, but it is fun being able to do comments with you. So, all right, let's see. Next we'll put in, I think I'll put the banner on the front here. And we're making it kind of like fabric, wrinkling it up. And just another leaf down here maybe, to kind of balance the top and the bottom a little bit. All right, so we're going to finish this one up by adding the ribbon to the top. We'll take about 12 inches. And let's see where my paper snips are hiding over here. We're going to thread this through. And so it's about halfway. And then we'll tie with that linen thread again. Actually, in the sample one, I just tied it at the top in a bow. But I do love this trick I'll share with you again, where you put one kind of ribbon, usually the thicker ribbon, through the top, and then a thinner twine or ribbon to tie in a bow. And again, it's just a variety of texture, a variety of color. And this is perfect. Just tape to a plate of cookies, or maybe you make zucchini bread. Oh, that's another good question. What are the baked good things that we like to make this time of year? I made some zucchini bread with my mother-in-law's recipe this past week and shared it with neighbors. That was really delicious. She also made great pumpkin bread, so I need to try that too. Nicole says she's coming to my house. You like lobster too? That's wonderful. Julia's wondering, I think it's Julia, how I got the banners. Okay, so let me show you again from the piece of pie. We had this, we had the circle cut in these little pieces here. We put under the label, so it kind of went something like this, so that those were the pieces that are above and below, and that left us with this large half. And you can do all kinds of things with this. This would also be pretty, and put it against the edge of a tag. Let's just show you on the back, something like this, so that you'd get a lot of the color showing. But what I chose to do was to cut it into the banner shapes. This is a great question. So I'm just going to cut a strip, and then I will do what I call a swallowtail here. One tip for that is go straight up the middle, and then triangle to the middle, triangle to the middle. It's probably hard to see on camera. Let's see if it's easier on the white side. I go part way up the middle, and then triangle to the middle, triangle to the middle. That's one way to do that banner. And then I wanted them to be kind of like fabric, so I squished them up. And maybe Baldwinsville Public Library isn't Julia, because Julia is also Julia. So you'll have to tell me who you are, Baldwinsville Public Library. I'm delighted. Okay, and so I can do that twice. I've got plenty of this strip here. And I can go up the middle, triangle, triangle. Up the middle, triangle, triangle. There. And again, just distress it with the ink direct to the paper. Just add that vintage, I think it kind of can look linen-y, like linen-like, fabric-like when we do that. So that's how we did the banners. They came out of the pie. Very good. Okay, friends, so let me clear our plate here of pie, and you can see some variations of the different tags. And we'll bring back in our cards that we started with tonight. Okay, there we are. And yes, Julia's both. That's totally fine. Yeah, that's a good. Oh, I found another leaf. So maybe there's more leaves in your kit. Whatever, you may have just a few things left, like me. So use them in lots of creative ways. Hopefully, you have some of this beautiful seam binding and my favorite linen thread. Okay, You'll have your ink to continue to play with, certainly, too. And I want to end by sharing with you next month's kit, get you excited already about Christmas time and December time. This is a kit that comes in a little box, and we'll be making some tags and cards just like we did tonight. And it also includes a stamp, so you'll have a stamp and a red ink spot next time. So there are a limited number of kits, so we encourage you to get registered so that one is reserved for you, a complimentary kit from the library. If you don't have the chance to have the kit, please join us back just for more inspiration and sharing for our December class. It will be the second Thursday of December. I'll go through comments later and post who our winner is of our stamp set. And I do hope if you have questions about our products, about how to do techniques, then I would be more than happy to help you. You can contact me through Facebook. In your kit, there's also a business card that has my phone number. You can text me or email me. I'm delighted to share. Stamping and paper crafting is not just my business, it's also my great pleasure. And I'm so grateful to Julia and to the Public Library for partnering and making it possible for me to share these with you. So thanks for taking part. I appreciate you, and I'll look forward to seeing you on Facebook throughout the month, and then hopefully our class December 10th. Hopefully you can take part in that. Melanie, the entering for the stamp set is just by commenting. So by commenting, you'll be in the random comment. I'll have my son pick a number and we count down comments, and that's what happens. So if you commented, then you're entered into that. And if you are interested in products or techniques or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Very, very best Thanksgiving wishes to you and to your family. Be safe and be well. Thanks, my friends. Take care.